Hello, Global Theater. My name is Gerry Fialka. Today's December 7, 2025. Want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast, I'm Probably Wrong About Everything. Also want to thank James Joyce for introducing me to today's guest, Marc Girod. How do you pronounce your last name, Marc?
Girod.
Girod.
But it's, yeah.
And
it's,
where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Helsinki, Finland.
First question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
I forgot to. I prepared something for that about that, and I forgot it. Um, hmm, it there is no such thing as a best thing.
That is a great answer. No one ever says that. There's no such thing. What's your
No,
Marc, what's your favorite form? We'll get into it deeper. What's your favorite form of information? How it comes into you?
nowadays maybe reading the Le Monde newspaper and half in electronic format and in weekly. I get the weekly on paper, and then I get uh, notices many a day, 10 a days, and I read them in diagonally, and then I read the ones I'm interested in weekly, and then I read fully, and I
Marc,
write
did
notes.
you become a reader? One, because your parents told you; two, they did it as an example; or three, on your own.
I don't remember, but I read quite a lot as a child, very early. Actually, I read Jules Verne, all, all of his production. Jules Verne. He was a sort of a 19th century skiffy writer.
What's the spelling on his last name?
Verne, Vernes. Sorry, well, Jules Verne. Uh, he's very famous for because of films that have been made from his books, like Around the World for in 80 Days, or 20,000 lieu. What is lieu? Under the water in the submarine, or he was an extremely prolific and successful writer in the end of in the 1870s.
But he's basically an adventure writer.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
No, I've
yeah.
seen those movies. They had a big impact on me growing up because of Disney made 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Yeah.
Leads,
Big,
leads.
big
Yes.
movies for kids growing up in America. So why do you think humans collect or gather information?
Do they? Sorry. um, it's because they've found some quicker way to evolve than biology, and that's why.
Right. A quicker way to evolve. But do you think this need or want to collect information is more innate or more invented? Is it in us innately or did we invent it?
Well, everything we invented. Well, no, this. Uh, hard. I don't know, and I'm not sure. This is a too easy a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It may be a wrong question. Actually, the boundary between inventing and between innate and learned is is a tricky one.
It's
Uh,
very tricky because I'm glad you say it's a wrong question. It's really me and you versus the wording on the question. So it's really important how you've approached this so far. I mean, there's no such thing as the best thing for a human being. That was amazing. Now this one is that's the wrong question. I appreciate that because most, here's the thing, Mark. That question, 99% of people, I go, is it more innate or more invented? They go, oh, it's innate. And so people think that we are innate to eat food, that humans innately have to eat food. So most people think, oh, it's innate that we have to collect information, but it's not necessarily. It's not that I'm saying there's a right or wrong answer. It's more like just a prompt to get you to talk about the subject.
But
You
you
know,
see, there was a German biologist of the beginning of the 20th century, Haeckel, who explains that ontology follows phylogeny,
yeah,
and that means that everything we believe we've invented actually were invented by the by the species, or well, there is nothing like that, like species. In fact,
yeah,
it's a growing thing. But
yeah,
well, the whatever living things learned to eat, they didn't eat in the beginning. Well, it was not granted. So and and everybody learns to replays. Well, that was Haeckel's idea that everybody in his life replays the evolution of species. Uh,
yeah. Now, did you Heckle is Heckel, right?
I think it's there is an a umlaut or
Yeah.
Haeckel. Yeah. Well, but
Yeah. And then you said he said ontology follows what's this third word?
phylogeny,
And how do
phylogeny.
you spell that? How do you spell that word?
Philogeny. That's the
Okay.
history of species of
Yeah.
well.
No, that's good.
So,
That's really helps me a lot. So, do thoughts create emotions?
again, hard to say. No, it's consciousness is an interesting thing. It's we're conscious means that we feel something that happened already somewhere in our body 200 milliseconds earlier. And why the hell do we do that? Well, that's a nice problem. I mean, what what selected that in evolution? What's what's the gain of being conscious of having emotions? Well, I don't know. Somehow it must be useful, but because it's been selected. But otherwise, we don't care. I mean,
Yeah, Mark, you're anticipating a lot of questions. You have ESP. This is good because you go, that's a nice problem. Is that what you said? That's a nice
yeah,
problem. I mean,
sure.
like you're insinuating there's bad problems and nice problems. So that's good. So fill in the blank, Mark. I don't know what I think until I
Until I formulate it later. Then I noticed that, oh shit, I thought of that
yeah.
because the words I word it, and I know that, oh, since I word it, then I must have thought of that.
That's amazing because McLuhan said, I don't know what I think until I say it. Joan Didion said, I don't know what I think until I write it. But you put it in the verb formulate it later. So you're saying formulate it later, either speaking or writing or speaking or how, what does the word formulate mean sensually? What sense are you using to formulate?
It's it's blurred as well because this has changed. Language it looks like it sounds, of course, we probably started to speak. Language was first spoken before it was written,
Oh
but
yeah,
language was reinvented after we were able to write. So
right.
in a in some sense we speak after we write.
Yeah,
That's the theory of one of the French philosophers, of Jacques Derrida, who, and maybe he was anticipated by Michel Foucault. Uh, there has been a reshuffle of the language. Well,
yeah,
Derrida's book is de la grammatologie. Grammar is actually writing,
yeah.
the science of writing, uh, refounded language. And well, we we tend to, well, I think much better in written format. I write and read, and well, speaking is too fast for me. I'm slower.
Very good. Okay, so can humans think without language?
I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
no. I may be wrong, but no. It's not that. It's, well. Now we're back to Finnegan's Wake completely. It's not. We are not thinking in language. We're thinking as a language.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Not in language, but as language. Yeah.
you know
In which,
that's the same thing as Einstein's general relativity. Gravitation is not what happens in space; it's what happens to space.
yeah, in space, but to space. Yeah. Okay, so Chomsky says language is not just words. It's a culture, a tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. Marc, what do you do when language doesn't work? When language breaks down, what do you do?
Oh, it does all the time. It's the mode of working for language. Where language works by not working.
But I know that, but what do you do when it breaks down? Like you're at the store and you're trying to buy something and communication breakdown or your family or friend, what do you do?
Oh, you try to fix it. You retry. You turn around. You change the words. You No, of course well, yeah. Oh, that's actually, there is a different logic in different languages. There are languages like Finnish, which are and kind of German is a bit like this. Also, the fact that you have to know in advance what you want to say, and you say it precisely. And
Wow.
if the other guy does not understand, well, probably he's deaf.
Wow.
So you speak louder. But well, French French is not like that. Or well, maybe people in the 17th century mistook French to be like that. They said that ce qui se conçoit bien s'énonce clairement. What you understand well, you can tell well, you can spell properly,
Yeah.
and that doesn't make sense. That's that's a sort of that's the modern fallacy. That's the vision of a world that would be too simple.
Yeah.
Uh,
Marc, your observations of humans in general, are we more thinking beings or more feeling beings?
there is no difference. I mean,
That is right. You're right. Because Bridget Bardot says, when I make love, I don't think. And I'm like, good luck. How do you turn your brain off? You know?
the brain is what you use for love. I mean, making love is in the brain. I just reread or Milan Kundera's
Kundera,
Kundera's, yeah, you know, the Czech.
Unbearable Likeness.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's about sex and 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 resistance, and it's well, no.
Well, you that's amazing because you anticipated, because one of my questions coming up is a Milan Kundera quote. So we'll get to that. Very good. These are two questions from Alan Turing in the 50s. One, is thinking a function of the soul?
Or the contrary. Uh, no, well, that's the same problem I saw. Hmm. That's the idea. Well, the problem of artificial intelligence. I mean, if we are able to think with our carbon chains, well, why would a computer not be? Maybe it could. Well, if it works with carbon, why not in silicon? But no, I don't think the soul can be extracted from the, well, from the rest of matter. Well, or it's not soul. Soul is, well, we as far as we can believe, it's the soul is emerging from the matter, from the,
Yeah.
but it's the division is dangerous.
Okay, now the second Turing question is, can machines think?
Well, they don't so far, but who am I to tell that they will? Yeah, I think they could in theory. Yes, I think
Yeah.
that we are machines to some extent.
Yeah. Do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Oh, I more pursue meaning. That I can answer. I mean, I've been, well, happiness comes as a byproduct.
But you know, Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, is where I got that question. And he says that happiness doesn't tend to last and meaning tends to last. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's wrong. I mean, meaning collapses all the time. Everything we thought we knew, well, when we investigated a bit better, we noticed that it was wrong. That's true for Newton's gravity, and it's true for. I mean, no, we're believing. Meaning. Well, we're producing meaning, of course. No. We're freedom is about producing meaning, but this production is a bet. We stop. We're lazy. We're producing the meaning that is sufficient, not necessary.
Wow. Does the brain, thank you, Marc. You're really concise and articulate. I appreciate this. Does the brain more detect consciousness or create it? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're more so detecting it or more so creating it?
Oh, I believe we are creating it, but we're detecting it as well. I mean, no,
Yeah.
we're
Go ahead.
No, it's everything our consciousness is late, is always late. That's what I said a moment ago.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it's not that we've not been creating it.
Yeah.
Or of course it creates it.
Well, this is funny because you anticipated the next question. What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Well, neither is very fast. I mean, the speed of light. you
Well,
know,
what's your guess is which one is faster in
the,
relation to the other one? Do you have a guess or a hunch?
the problem is that time is well, consciousness is a filter as well. We pick some things and we forget that we drop the rest. So, of course, nothing is that fast there. But even computers, I mean, in a computer, there is a clock, that the clock is typically in gigahertz. Uh, well, and it's usually a bit more, a few gigahertz, but not more, because of problems of getting rid of the heat. But in if it was at 1 gigahertz, light moves 30 centimeters in a nanosecond. So between two clock cycles in a computer, the light goes only 30 centimeters. And that means that, and it goes far less actually if there are some transistors in between, or it's not in the void that it goes to 30 centimeters. But it means that there are different times in different parts, even inside the CPU, so in the brain as well. You have many different places with different times, with different ordering of events. You get the sound from the right ear, and the left ear, well, in different orders, in different places in the brain.
So
consciousness is about selecting one of those fields.
it's discerning. So Audre Lorde is a poet who said you can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. Her colleague Yvonne Rainer said, "Oh, you can if you expose the tools." What new tool do you suggest? And it doesn't have to be tangible.
Well, fitting and swake is one such tool.
That's the right hand. That's the best tool. So, what's a toy that you suggest? We'll get into Finnegan's Wake soon. A couple of these more philosophical questions, and then we'll get into Joyce. But what's a toy you suggest? Because I ask people what tool do they gravitate towards, and they'll tell me. And then one guy said, "Well, what about a toy?" So, is there a toy you gravitate towards?
I don't know. A toy. There's a lot of again, toys are just extensions of your of yourself. That's
Good.
That's an old idea by Heidegger. Zeug. So I've been scuba diving a lot at some point.
That's good.
And in scuba diving, you try to be as slow as you can, and to detect things, to focus, you look at for very tiny things, or sometimes for very big ones. But you're very impressed by very big ones, but you're trying to detect the small nudibranch in a fan with the current
It helps you focus and be slow. I like that a lot. Marc, what do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
I usually, especially right now, I have difficulties to get to sleep, but I worry about things that forgotten, that I've not taken care of, and about mistakes I made in my exercises in Swedish language, because I try to learn Swedish now.
I see. Okay, so Marshall McLuhan learned from the poet Ezra Pound that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, so we might learn how to cope with what we don't like about our inventions. So, Marc, excuse me, I ask you the question Marshall probed his whole career. Why do we ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Unfortunately, because we focus on other things, we don't. I don't know. No.
Do you think more artists have moral obligation?
No, only, well, moral. What does that mean, moral? Artists have moral obligations towards themselves.
Yeah,
And
that's what most people say. Are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
I don't know. It depends. No, I don't think it's a matter of old and new, or
It's a matter of the idea itself. Yeah.
yeah, I would say think so. Yeah.
Can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
Unfortunately, they're spoiled. I mean, my memories are memories I have thought of later, and every time I cannot read without write. So my memories are memories I've rewritten. That's
Right. Is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
it depends. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I cannot generalize. It depends on the idea. On
Okay.
the memories, yeah.
Tell me someone within your immediate family who had an impact on you, and what specifically was that impact?
Well, I'm sorry. I have one answer, and I don't want to say it.
Oh, that's all right. You don't have to. But the same question is for outside your immediate family. Is there someone who had an impact on you outside your immediate family? Just one person. And what was the impact?
Well, okay. There was when my first child was about to be born. I asked. Well, I'm not sure I asked for an advice, but I got one advice, and the advice was, "Forget it. It's you're too young." And I said thank you, and I did the contrary, of course.
Yeah.
So it helped me to take the responsibility.
To take the responsibility. That's good.
Decide that by myself that okay, no,
Yeah,
okay.
really good. So, did your parents raise you a particular religion?
um, yes and no. No, well, they my hard to. Well, I was raised in the Catholic religion, but until pretty late, until I was 14, 15. I mean, I went to church. I was I got a few. Well, but it was quite soft. I mean, and I was not first. My mother was a Protestant, was Lutheran, but she never mentioned it to us so much. My father was well, had been a scout as a child, and that had a big impact on him. But again, he did not. Well, he neither of them would go to church for as I was a child. So no,
Mark, do you pray?
no.
If God exists, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
Hello, and I would be very surprised.
Hello, that's good. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
How does Oscar Wilde say? He says something like, "There are no good and bad people. There are interesting and dull people."
Oh, that's good. I like that. Oscar Wilde is my hero. I love that. So, the real question, Mark, is how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? And I'll set it up. Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola stole from the Mob of the Samurai. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So it's a lot of thoughts. The basic question is, how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? Say one of your kids is being bullied and they say, Dad, what should I do? And then first, how would you respond to Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Well, unless you kill them, but it depends. I don't know. It depends. No, of course you. It's first. Is it you who decide who your enemies are, or is it they? I
Yeah.
mean, you have enemies that have chosen you as an enemy, and so well, maybe they were right, maybe they were wrong, and you have to understand that it's not so sure. It's not obvious, but there are people you. I mean, there are people you have to confront. I mean, it's well, fighting is an option.
Yeah. But Nassim Taleb said games were created to give non-heroes the illusion of winning. In real life, we don't know who wins or loses, but we can tell who a hero is. And Gregory Bateson says when the criminal gets caught, does he go, whoa, my criminal skills weren't up to snuff? Or does he go, oh, I did something socially and morally wrong? So again, it's a lot of prompts. The basic question is, does punishment work?
It's very complex. No, I punishment is too simple an idea in general.
Yeah,
Anyway, anyway, it depends. It affects to the person that gets punished. It affects you, and it affects the others. And well, the compromise is very difficult to. I mean, you never know, and you never know. Well, I
yeah,
mean, it's always anyway a guess. And it's too late. Well, that's again Kundera. There is only what makes life unsufferable is that you live it only once, so you can't know what would have happened if you had done in another way. Uh, and
Okay.
and well, okay, Kund, in this book, he's thinking of Nietzsche's idea of the. He's thinking of, well, Nietzsche's idea is that being successful, being an Übermensch, would mean accepting your life so fully that you would be ready to live it unchanged ever and ever again. And that's a parable. That's not, well. No, you. If I would like to live my life again, it would be to make everything different, of course, not to make everything. And it's not that I believe that I did wrong. It's just I would try something else.
Yeah. Well, this leads into James Joyce being the first projectionist in Dublin 100 years ago at Volta Cinema. He basically checked out and he said, "This is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree?" And years later, William Faulkner said, "Sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism." Marc, why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
But living, well, because we cannot avoid acting. Living life is acting. Oh, well, and it's also, and it's not acting a ready-made script. It's writing the play that you act.
Yeah.
So
That's, yeah. Jean-Luc Godard said Hollywood movies are just documentaries of actors acting.
yes, that, but yeah, but they 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 too learned. They didn't know that in advance, or maybe they thought they were acting
Yeah.
something else. They understand later on that they've been acting something different than what they thought they were acting.
Yeah. So what's your history with Joyce? When did you start reading Joyce? In high school or college because they told you to, or on your own?
No, later. Probably I don't remember. In fact, when I read Ulysses first, but it may be when, as late as when I came to Ireland in 2006 or something. It's possible that I read Ulysses as at the moment when I decided that I've not read much of English literature. I read the book by this Palestinian professor of literature of New York. What's his name? The guy who wrote Orientalism. Um, I have that somewhere on my shelf.
Anyways, yeah. So you
Uh,
read a book about Joyce. Is that what
no,
you're saying?
no. It's only that he had. He was a professor of literature in one of the big universities, and he was speaking about actually about the 19th century novel in English literature, English and including American literature, but uh, but I, but then I got a sort of a list of books that Jane Austen and Rudyard Kipling and whoever and who, that I had not read, and it may be that Joyce was in this list or came as a sort of a and well I read many of them at that time, and so uh, it's possible that I had not read Ulysses before. And Finnegan's Wake I tried later alone, and I failed. I read maybe half of it, and I abandoned. I thought that
Yeah.
okay, I drowned. I that I didn't know where I was, and
But you weren't reading it with a group of people out loud. You were
no,
trying to read.
no, that happened much later. That happened in Dublin 10 years ago,
Yeah. So
and
2015, you go into Sweeney's, and that's where you start reading The Wake.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. And the Wake, not the Wake right away. First Ulysses for
I
2 years, Ulysses, and then the Wake. Yeah, and that's something. I mean, the Wake is something that, of course, that has to be read in a group with people aloud. I mean,
Yes.
it's completely different. Alone, you're too small to read the Wake alone. I mean, I am.
No, we are lucky that we have such a great group at Sweeney's every Tuesday. It's a very special group.
Well, I fully agree. I mean, that's yeah, that's great. And that's something you cannot anticipate. I mean,
No.
it's there, but
Yeah.
you would not invent it. I mean, it's purely contingent. It's there.
Has your 40 years as a computer science engineer contributed to your thinking about Joyce, or is there a crossover? Is there any sort of relationship between computer science and James Joyce Finnegan's Wake?
Of course, there is, but well, it's contingent again. It's not necessary. It is
Yeah.
for me. It is, of course, but I could not convince anybody else about the reasons that. Well, but yeah, no. And now, of course, I speak of the Wake, no, not of well, Ulysses is well. Both books are very different, actually. Of course, there is one chapter in Ulysses that is a sort of that the Wake may have grown from, I believe, and that's the oxen of the sun. I mean, this is the most Wakean chapter in Ulysses,
Yeah.
because it's the most complex one. I mean, it's a joke about the language. It's an investigation in language, in analogies, and in styles of different people, and so it's the one that is most directed towards the language itself, and the least towards what is being told.
Yeah. The form and content issue. It's like I think someone said Finnegan's Wake is language about language. So it's, yeah. And so these three words that Joyce brought up, epiphanies in everydayness. What does that mean to you? What do you think Joyce meant? What does that mean to you? Finding epiphanies in everydayness.
In everydayness.
Yeah, like every day.
Every day. Oh,
Yeah.
day. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's about contingence, about finding something that well, you don't care whether it was there or whether you create it emerges, but it's surprise all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How much percentage do you think James Joyce got the wake, and how much percentage do you get it? Like 0 to 100%. Just a guess. How much did Joyce get it, and how much do you get it?
Well, I could try to say different things. I could try to say that Joyce got 20%, and I get some other 20%, or I could say that Joyce got at least 300%.
Yeah.
He didn't anticipate what he got. I mean, he was surprised as well about.
He was surprised as well, because I mean, it's interesting. People feel, like PJ said, Joyce got the wake 95% and I get it 97%. So it's not an ego thing. It's basically the fact that you come every week means to me that you get it 80 to 90%. Why else would you come? But
No,
this is,
there is no 100% of the.
there is no, yeah, but it's just
whatever we had so far it will grow next week.
yeah, that's the beauty. And here's a line from Portrait of an Artist. I will try to express myself in some mode of life or art as freely as I can and as wholly as I can, using for my defense the only arms I allow myself to use: silence, exile, and cunning. What do those three words mean to you in the Joyce world and in life in general? Silence, exile, and cunning.
Silence is well, I think of music and about of also the silence of by Mozart. Who was saying that. And who's this artist who wrote 4 Minutes of Silence?
It's John Cage, 433.
Cage, yes, exactly. Well, Cage is exactly. Well, the silence is different every time. Exile. Well, exile is also it's a way to leave something and to take it with you, or you don't know what you leave until you left it.
Yeah, because you have an interesting history, being born in Finland, raised in France, then spent many years in Dublin, or 10 years in Dublin, and now you're back in Finland.
No, but look, it's worse than that. It's much worse than that. I lived in different places in France, and I lived also in Germany, and I lived back in different places in France, and then I lived for 20 years in Finland, and then I moved from Finland to Dublin, and I was not only in Dublin, I was also in Athlone, in the center of. So
right.
I've I've lived so many lives.
Yeah. Okay, so very good, Marc. The third part of that question is cunning. What does cunning mean to you?
It's about the about the game, about the joy, about the cheating, about trying to eh, probably trying to surprise yourself, to trying to double guess, to pretend things and make them appear.
Yeah. It's really good, Marc. You're really smart, because this is another line from Portrait of an Artist, and I'm curious your thoughts. Welcome, O life. I go to encounter for the millionth time the reality of experience, and to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race. So the two main things I'm curious your thoughts are is forging the smithy of my soul. What does that mean? And the uncreated conscience of my race.
Forging smith. It's a very hard hard work, and very concrete. It's that that's about thinking of Ulysses. That's about Homeros, about Sophia, Philosophia. I think, that's the etymology of Sophia. Sophia, the word Sophia is found a couple of times only in was it in Iliad or Odyssey? But it was something very. It was it didn't mean anything. It was something very concrete. It was not very abstract. The Sophia was the skill of an artisan. I forgot, maybe a smith. Now I forgot my quote, or where did I get that, but I would be able to find that.
Yeah, but you mean like a blacksmith?
A blacksmith, yes. Yeah. You indulge me. I look for for the quote, because I have that in my reading notes.
But are you using the word philosophy as the root? Philosophy is philosophy, or am I mistaken?
No, it's my mispronouncing because of French.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but no. Okay, well, I don't find it. It's
okay. No, you can add it to the chat if you want later, but no big deal. But let's move on to another line that someone wrote about James Joyce, and that's Richard Ellman. He said, "We are all learning to be Joyce's contemporaries." And I'm curious what you think he meant by that. Are we learning to time travel and live in the time of Joyce? Or is it something different because Joyce insisted that all times are happening now? Same with Frank Zappa, is that there's an all at onceness. So what's your thoughts on Elman's line? We are learning to be Joyce's contemporaries.
Yeah, no, I think that, of course, that there is only a present, and so future and past are part of our present. So, but I don't know. Contemporary. Uh, I, time is time is local, so there are many times in different places, and so uh, also um, there is, well, again, that's Einstein. There is nothing is synchronous. I mean, time is about the ordering of events, and it's a filtering of events and an ordering of events. Some we're so we're conscious, all the time, continuously getting new events and ordering the results. So being contemporary is about building time.
Really good, Marc, because one of our members, Decio, says that in the wake, the eye is space and the ear is time. And there's a line on page 12 of Finnegan's Wake: we may see and hear nothing. So this distinguishing between, the senses, the eye being space and the ear being time, it's shifting, sense ratio shifting, sort of like when you read a book, it's a more an eye experience, but with Finnegan's Wake, it's more an ear experience. You have to see the letters, but you have to hear them pronounced out loud by other people. What is the difference between art and science? Is there a difference?
Of course, we all believe there is one, but the difference is tiny. And this mathematician Poincaré tried to say that there are some that we find some, we pick some interesting events. There is no data where we're picking things that we find interesting. And one reason why some events are interesting is that they are reproducible. So if we forget about details, so we can think that they are analogical. Well, we can recognize something across different events or pieces of data. And well, it's a negotiation. I mean, you're anyway putting meaning onto reality. So you have to be creative in both cases. I mean, art is also concrete. It's about making experiments and feeling for the results. So yeah.
Jean Cocteau said, art is science made clear.
But well, science is not that clear.
But McLuhan said that James Joyce solved numerous problems which science has not formulated as problems yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, of course, we we've progressed in finding some problems that we did not recognize. The history of science is about finding new problems that were there all the time. Uh, of course, I mean, Newton took things that he could solve, and he was interested in simple things. Later on, we started to look at more complex things that had been forgotten. I mean, the man has become the target or subject, or well, the object of science only very recently, and it was there all the time, but science didn't touch it, well, because there was no MRI and no neurology and no uh, and we've forgotten things that science was interested in earlier.
Well, Mark, that's funny because you brought up a couple words there that McLuhan touched on. He said, when we push our paradigms back, we get history. When we push them forward, we get science.
Well, paradigm is an interesting word. It was in Greek. It's an example. Uh, Paradigma. It means to deigma, to show beside. That's what paradigma means.
Yeah.
And the man who gave it a new meaning was Saussure in the about linguistic in the beginning of the 20th century. He made a position between paradigmatic and syntagmatic dimensions of language, and the current mode, well, the current frenzy about paradigm comes from Thomas Kuhn in 1969 in his revolution of the structure of scientific revolutions, his thesis. And a paradigm in Kuhn's idea is a sort of a community that is turning around common problems, common tools, and common social means to solve them. That's a paradigm. So for Kuhn, uh, people agreeing about things that they wouldn't that they will be the basis on which they will build problems that they detect on this basis, and then tools and methods that they are ready to use, and the community. So there can be many paradigms in parallel, or and well, so paradigm, the past and the future. There are much more. I mean, it's not so simple. Time is not one dimension, or it's one dimension for you. I mean, and now, but here, but for as soon as you try to communicate with somebody else, well, you have different um, options, different.
Well, it's perfect what you're saying, Mark, because I wanted to go into art and science a little more in that Paul Veyne, Veyne, the French archaeologist and historian, said, science finds no truths. It discovers unknown facts that can be interpreted 1,000 ways. And that's sort of like what I think of the wake is it can be interpreted many ways. But we're grounded in that it is letters on white paper, and we read them aloud and hear the letters and how they shape us. And then another scientist, Niels Bohr, said the opposite of a correct statement is a false statement, but the opposite of a profound truth may well be another profound truth. So I'm curious your thoughts on that in regards to science and art.
Well, first, there is no white paper. I mean, yeah, the papers are already written and full of many things. So we're wiping the papers, or
Yeah.
there's a, there was a, oh, I forgot who. Matisse maybe was explained that I take a big stone and I remove things until I find the sculpture that was there in the beginning. So I
Yeah.
just, yeah, the material I'm not creating. I'm just unveiling something. I think
Yeah.
it's Matisse.
No,
Uh,
it's the sculptor, but I know what you're saying. It's how Eskimos sculpt stuff. They go, the sculpture's in there. We're just removing till we find it. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, exactly. So there is no, that's the contrary of the white page on which you write
yeah,
your,
right.
you start from something and you just clean it up. uh,
That's Captain Beefheart said that music on paper, notation is just black ants crawling on white paper. And that's what the musical notes are. But that Niels Bohr is saying, the opposite of a correct statement is a false statement, but the opposite of a profound truth may be another profound truth.
yes, well, no, well, Niels Bohr is uh, well, he's also, well, he's the guy who tells that you should not try to look for a meaning of quantum mechanics. You just should, should satisfy yourself of being happy that it works,
Yeah,
uh, and and that may be a way for him to say that well, that does not object to Einstein thinking the different. Well, he respects Einstein's view, which is completely opposite to his.
yeah, that's really good. That's called the what is it called? The coincidence of opposites, because that you anticipated Einstein. He said the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. So what gets me is back to Milan Kundera, Unbearable Likeness of Being. His quote I love is, that is why I love writing, because the character that I'm writing about can go further than I can. But that sounds romantic, Marc. If I take a paper and pencil and I write a character, how can that character go further than I can?
Well, in many ways. I mean, first you while you're writing, it goes where to places you did not anticipate. But then there is also what the reader will do.
Yeah,
And uh, every reader adds a meaning. I mean, when you know that that people have been writing after Shakespeare, so they wrote knowing what Shakespeare had written before, and that changed the situation. So the well, you reading is writing. That's what I mean. So
yeah.
yeah. You
But
change the world, you change the context.
that's called the user is the content. Also, McLuhan said that the user is the content. But David Mamet, the playwright, said art is a product of the unconscious mind. Now, me and you have been talking for 70 minutes. It seems as though we're both pretty consciously present. But the neuroscientists say, we operate, George Lakoff or cognitive scientists say, we operate 80% unconsciously. How can art be a product of the unconscious mind? Is that how do you process that line?
Well, because consciousness is about filtering, but it doesn't. Well, we don't know what happens with what we've thrown away. I mean, it's not thrown away; it's just not conscious. So maybe it comes back later. Maybe our consciousness is lazy as well, and it's cheating with that's the usual the experiment about feeling warm with one hand and cold with the other, and deciding which one what's the temperature, and the consciousness, you make a choice, and you believe that both hands feel the same, and they don't.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of experiments like that. And well, but the part of the feeling that you've dropped, well, is still there. I mean, so is still there. You don't know what would have been, what would your consciousness have been if you had chosen differently.
Harold Bloom, the great lit crit, he thought Finnegan's Wake was as close to Shakespeare and Dante in its, greatness. And they ask him, do you believe in God? And Harold Bloom says, my attitude towards Yahweh is that I don't like him and I don't trust him and I wish he would go away, but I know he won't because he's built into the language. As Nietzsche said, he's part of the way we think. As soon as you use a verb involving being, you're in trouble. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, God is dead, but well, he had to be there in order to be dead.
Yeah, be there at some point. So what's more important, conviction or compromise?
I don't know. Conviction. No. I mean, it depends. No,
Yeah.
you have to have some convictions in order to be able to compromise, and vice versa. No. You in both cases you are confronting somebody else. I mean, you would not have a conviction if it was not if there was not somebody else who has a different conviction. You would not care,
Yeah.
and in that case, only in that case, will you be in a position to make a compromise or not. So
Is perception reality?
yes.
Yeah.
It's not the only reality, but it's reality.
Yeah.
Sure.
T.S. Eliot said poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
Well, we've been saying that no, there is no. I mean, the dialogue. It's there is. It is the. It is only after you formulate it that
Right.
so it emerges, both emerge in it's a braid. I mean, you can't get the one without the other, and there is no. It's a growing. I mean, that's the chicken and egg thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have the chicken first and the egg next. Then you have both together. I mean, and they grow. It's and it's very much the difference between modernity and postmodernity. I mean, modernity is the fallacy that you can order things in one stable way, that the chicken is there first and then you get the egg. And the biggest achievement of modernity was to understand that it doesn't work.
Then what's the difference with postmodernity?
Postmodernity is about growing. Things emerge constantly.
Yeah.
So there is no order. There is no objective order. There is a you have to have a conviction and make compromises about it.
One artist said, art is making your problems other people's problems. Any thoughts on that?
No, that's a great idea. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The point is not solving problems. The problem is convincing others that they did not notice something. Yeah.
And Cecil Taylor, the jazz pianist, says, I'm just a vehicle and this stuff just comes through me. Is art making more self-expression or more a vehicle for whatever technologies, cultures, and environments are dominant?
Well, the media is the message, or what
Yeah.
did McLuhan say?
Yeah.
So there is no vehicle for something to carry.
But
It's
Marc, can art making be egoless?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't grow your ego alone. You grow other people's ego as well. So
Yeah. Good point. Moshe Feldenkrais works with healing and movement. He says it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength, rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness. Tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
oh, that's the story of life.
Yeah.
It's about getting the bacteria inside the nuclei of cells.
Yeah, that's like turn a breakdown into a breakthrough. But I mean, can you give me an example in your own life, some breakdown that you turned into a breakthrough, or a weakness you turned into a strength?
I'll tell you when I die, and I hope somebody will write that down on my.
That's good.
No,
You, very good. Very. Utah Phillips said, "Anarchy is making rules for yourself and not other people. Who's entitled to make the rules?"
anarchy is order without power. Everybody's entitled to, I mean, of course.
Yeah, everybody is a great answer. But yeah, it's funny because, Marc, etymologically, the word freedom is exactly what Utah Phillips said. Freedom comes from giving oneself one's own laws. What does freedom mean to you now?
It's well, freedom is paradoxical, of course, because it's you're never free alone. Your freedom is dependence on others. I mean, you're more free if you're not free alone, against others, against, well,
That's that's exactly what T.S. Eliot said. Freedom is only truly freedom when it appears against the background of an artificial limitation.
yes, that's Sartre's as well. We've never been as free as during the occupation.
Wow.
Because everything we did had a meaning, had to mean something. Well, it could have consequences. So it was not we had to give it a meaning. We had to make it. It was not vacuum. Freedom is about making sense. Sense, yes. I mean, that's all the value is about.
Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, Marc. Anger can be a productive emotion when
Well, when you need to fill a blank, yeah. I mean, of course, anger. Well, you don't know. It depends. Anger can be a productive emotion, and because you don't know what is productive and what is destructive. I mean, well, in many cases, production requires destruction. So, well, that's about the necessity of fighting at some point, but not all the time. Not well. It has to be. It has to be a choice, and it has to be to be. You have to be able to give it a meaning. It has not to be well to be systematic, to be automatic, to be to. It's not. It has to come from you, from your freedom. But yes, well, anger is a weapon that has to be used every now and then.
Marc, how do you find peace of mind?
By carefully lifting things on my table.
Carefully, I love that word. If you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
I don't know. I would avoid him, change. No, it has to happen. I am looking forward to the situation. I don't know.
Good. What's a cultural shift you see developing today that inspires you?
I'm very pessimistic those days. So uh, I don't know. I should pay more attention on things like that. Well, I have grandchildren who are 4 years old, and 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 I don't know if they shift culturally, but they surely behave or think differently than how I think now. I don't know how I thought when I was their age. It was different.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the I yes, I'm less desperate when I watch them,
Oh,
but they
that's good.
surprise me. They surprise me. I cannot anticipate.
Mark,
I
we're almost done. We got a few more minutes, and I appreciate your time and energy here. What's a question that remains unresolved for you?
uh, hmm, will we still be there in 20 years?
Yeah, in 20 years.
Mm, um,
How has reading Finnegan's Wake, the Finnegan's Wake Reading Club, shaped your behavior?
well, it has helped me to to be excited in waiting something that I did not anticipate in waiting for surprises.
Oh, I love the word surprises. You brought that up a few times. And so Thornton Wilder said in 1928, and he was a huge Finnegan's Wake freak. He said, art is confession. Art is the secret told, but art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, it's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time. You've laid your cards on the table for an hour and a half. I'm not insinuating you haven't already answered this. What's it really all about for you?
No, I like this idea of hiding and showing. Of course, every time you write something down, you forget it. So you, I write when I read. I try to write down notes about what I read, and and later to to find what I remember I had been thinking of, and most of the time, what I wrote down was not what I would like to have remembered.
That's my two pages of notes of Mark's. It's like so important that I write it down. But it is funny when you write it down, then you forget it because you're thinking, well, I wrote it down. It will still be there. I won't forget it.
Yeah.
But it was maybe not the same epiphany. So, what gives you the most optimism?
I said that to my grandchildren. You know, uh, yeah, uh, I wish they will read Finnegan's Wake one day.
Nice.
But uh, hmm, maybe now the context changes. Maybe I would say something else in different. I don't know. You're you're pushing me hard. You're very. You said that I've been very active or but I'm amazed at how you have been. You're
Well, Marc, it's funny you said about uh, wishing your grandchildren would read Finnegan's Wake, because I think all parents are unconsciously teaching their children how to read Finnegan's Wake when they read books to them when they go to bed, because the kid can't really read language yet. So there's a lot of pictures and they see the symbols. So they're teaching them how to hear and relate hearing to seeing symbols on paper. And so it's almost like every parent, whether they know it or not, are preparing their kids to be Wakians, to read Finnegan's Wake. So it is something you should maybe even consider doing with your grandchildren, is sitting there and read Finnegan's Wake out loud with them and let them stare at the pages.
yeah, the language is a bit difficult. Yeah, but I mentioned the two younger, the two 4-year-old, but there is a grandson who is 7. So they read and listen very differently, and it's fun to
Yeah.
to read to them. And I of course I read to them together, and the little sister and the big brother pay attention to different things and react differently. And
It's a beautiful ritual we all go through growing up, is reading with our parents and our grandparents. And, the first question I asked Marc is, what's the best thing for a human being? Wilhelm Reich said the best thing for a human being is another human being. And the last question I asked is, what gives you the most optimism? And that's what they asked Groucho Marx at the end of his life. And he says, other people. So it's sure been fun spending this time with another person, especially because it was you. Thank you so much for your time and energy, Marc.
well, thank you very much, Gerry.
And
Thank you.
I'll see you. I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, and I know I'll see you on Tuesday. But
Of course.
I hope this never ends and we can keep talking forever and ever.
We will. Bye,
Okay.
Gerry.
Thank you.
Bye bye.